So in this video, we're going to learn a little bit more about commenting our video and some more advanced math controls. And we're going to do, basically the program we're going to make is we're going to get the A and B value from the users of two sides of a triangle. And we're going to find the C value with the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so let's get rolling. The first thing I want to figure out is to make sure we know what the heck the Pythagorean theorem is. So let's take a look. That's the one that's this one, right? A squared plus B squared equals C squared, where A and B are just two little legs of a right triangle. So what we want to figure out is that C value, right? So first, let's open up a program, a notepad. So we got Notepad right here, and remember, we still got to practice saving this correctly. So inside that folder, inside the lecture folder, I'm going to just do this Pyth for Pythagorean theorem, and because truthfully I don't know how to spell it. And then remember .py, otherwise it won't run. Suck to do all that work and not have it work. Okay, so the first thing I said we're going to be learning is commenting our code. It's super important. You're going to have code that's going to get really long. Maybe you start on Friday, then you have over a weekend, or maybe it's a week before you get back to it. And it's sometimes tough to go back through your own code. And if you comment the code, basically you're giving each little section a description of what it's doing. It's also good for brainstorming your project at the very beginning. And that's what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to write out the steps in the commenting. So it gives me a framework of things to kind of follow, right? So the first thing I need to do is I need to get the A and B values from the user, right? It's the first job. And the second thing I'm going to do, and you do it with the double hashtag, the pound sign, the little tic-tac-toes, you're going to be commenting out with that. So if you have two of those, it won't affect your code. So the second thing I'm going to do is, now that I have the A and B value, I'm going to do some math to get the C value. Okay. And then finally, my final step is I'm going to basically like print out message. We're going to get into some really complex stuff by the end of it, and if you can make a really complex problem broken down into little steps, it's going to make your life far easier, right? Now this one, we only have 3 steps. It's not going to be that difficult, but it's a good idea to get in the habit of commenting out that code. So the first thing, I have to get the A and B values from the user. It'd be a mistake to do it like this, remember? Just to say I want the input of what is the A value. Just to do that would be a mistake, right? Because what they're going to say back to you is 7. And input, it won't give you an error sign, but remember, you have to give a little hint to Python that this is going to be a number, and I expect to do math of that number. So you can give it a heads up that it's going to be an integer, like this. But the problem is if they put in 8.5, you're not going to be able to do very good work with decimals if you only accept integers. So for this case, I'm going to do float. And I'm going to just copy and paste this and do that for the B value. Now one thing I want to show you on this one, watch what happens when I run this. It says, okay, what's the A value, right? So the A value, I'm going to say is 8, and the B value is 11.32. So I get those values. If I ever want to check to see if things are going well, after my program runs, I can still interact with it. I should have got the A value from it. So if I say print A, it should give me back 8. And if I say print B, it should give me back 11.32. When you have a lot of code that's going to be manipulating those numbers and you want to see, like if you know there's an error, that's a good place to start. If you expect your A, B, C, D, whatever values are to be a certain value, and then you go and kind of run your diagnostics like this, and they're not that way, then you've located the error in the code. So kind of keep that trick in your back pocket. Okay, I've got the A value, I've got the B value. The next thing that I want to do, number 2 on my list, is I have to do the math to get the C value. So let's go back to the drawing board here. If I want to solve for c here, that 2 is bugging it. If I could get rid of that 2, my life would be great. So I'm going to get rid of it. The opposite of squaring something is square rooting. So if I square root this side, that will cancel out that square. And if I square root this side, well, we'll have to deal with it. So if I square root this side, I just get c. And this side, I get the square root of a squared plus b squared. Now, it would be a mistake to say that this square root eliminates those squares. So I'm going to have to just leave that all together. Now, one thing that maybe you didn't know is that if I have 7, the square root of 7, that's basically the same thing as 7. Well, it is the same thing as 7 to the 1/2 power. Maybe you didn't learn about those exponent rules, but we're going to use that to our huge advantage. So instead of this square root sign right there, I'm going to rewrite this whole thing as that whole thing to the 1/2 power. So I know what my c value is. When I want my c value, I want my c value to be that. A squared plus b squared to the 1/2 power. So let's code that up. Here you go. So my c value is going to be equal to a, now watch how I write squared. If I just wrote like that, that means a times 2, but a squared, I'm just going to add another one of those little stars in there, and that means to the 2nd power. So if I want to take something to the 6th power, I would write it like that. So a squared plus b squared. Now remember, I want to square root that whole thing, so I'm going to put parentheses around the whole stinking thing, and I'm going to raise that to the 0.5 power. Now we want to come up with some test cases, and so ones that we know work out, right? So I know that 3, 4, 5 is a right triangle. So if I type in 3 for an a value and 4 for a b value, I should get out that c value. So I'm going to make my my display screen, and then I'm going to check the 3 and the 4 for the b value, and if I get a 5, it should work out. Okay, print. A equals bam. And b equals, there you go. So c and I'm going to do dot format, and I'm going to put in here a comma b comma c, not with those quotation marks though. Make sure my parentheses match up, and everything should work swimmingly. What's the a value? I said I'm going to do 3, 4, so my c value must be 5, and it works out. And like I said, you can print and check any single one of these. Oh boy, you can go and check any one of those if I would have put a parenthesis instead of a 0, and it would have printed me out the 5. So you can check the individual components like that. All right, cool. Thanks for watching.